Howdy, I'm Jack Wheeler, and today we're going to talk about Einstein's theory of constancy. You think, what do you mean, theory of constancy? I thought it was the theory of relativity. Well, that's what we're going to talk about. I'm sure that you've played that ultimate dinner game with friends, that if you could have a dinner party and invite anybody from history, who would you have? Well, two people I would have would be Aristotle and Einstein. And I imagine this conversation taking place. They got to know each other. Einstein would blow Aristotle's mind about how the whole theory of inertia and motion and et cetera, But finally Aristotle would say, okay, all of us here are famous for something. What are you famous for? And Einstein would say the theory of relativity. And Aristotle would say, what is it that's relative? And Einstein would say, time is relative. Time passes relative for a group of observers. So if we are in one set, like what I call an inertial frame, like here on Earth, time for us is the same. But if we were in a spaceship, for example, which is moving differently than Earth is, then time would pass differently for them. And so Aristotle would say, well, yeah, because that's always what I maintain, is that time is a measurement of motion. So if two groups of people, their motions are different, then time would be different for them. And Aristotle would say, Einstein would say, yes, that's right. And so we can see this, by the way, in any time you fly in an airplane. Anytime you fly in an airplane, why, what is going on is the airplane is getting a signal from a satellite that's telling us GPS coordinates, so where the airport is, right? Well, the Earth is moving at one speed, the clocks are, and the clocks in the satellite are moving a little bit different because they're out there in space, moving at different velocities. So the clocks are off by a few parts per billion. Well, those few parts per billion make a big difference, because if we had the same time as the GPS satellite, the airplane would land 40 feet off the runway. So Aristotle's equations correct for the difference. It's Aristotle's theory of what I want to call constancy, or relativity, that correct the difference and allow the satellite clock and the clock in the plane on Earth to be in sync. So Aristotle would then say, okay, all right, I got the motion, the time is relative, but there's got to be a constant in here someplace. Everything isn't just relative, like it can't be just something that's just large. So where's your constant? And Einstein would say, the speed of light. The speed of light never changes. If you are running with a spear and you throw a spear, you impart your speed to the spear, and so the spear goes faster than if you were just standing still. But that's not the case with light. You could be running 100,000 miles an hour, and if you were running as fast as you can and you lit a torch, the light coming out of the torch would go no faster than if you were standing still. The speed of light is a constant, no matter the speed of its source. And Aristotle would be just blown away. But he would then say, but I don't get it then. Why isn't your theory called the theory of constancy? Because you've just switched absolutes. You've just switched constants. Instead of time being a constant, as it was for Newton, then the speed of light is your constant. And then time, the relativity of time and the relativity of space is based on the constant of the speed of light. And the reason that this is so important, and Einstein made, I believe, an incredible mistake in naming it the theory of relativity, is that because he was so famous for not being understood and being so mysterious, then phony philosophers and socialists and everybody else started switching from relativity to relativism. And it very quickly morphed, the theory of relativity, everything is relative, moved into a moral and political dimension where we've got moral relativity and moral relativism, and there's no moral truths and no moral absolutes, and that is a very large part of the problem that we have today, this denial of moral absolutes. There are moral absolutes, just that there is, that just like everything isn't relative, there is a constant, and it's the basis of Einstein. There are absolutes in morality just like there are in reality. I mean, Nazism, communism, fascism, and Muslim terrorism are wrong. Freedom is better than slavery. Slavery is immoral. No matter that Allah in the Quran advocates that slavery is just fine. Well, either Allah is wrong or slavery is wrong. And I say slavery is wrong. There are moral absolutes. It's a big mistake to move from a scientific theory named relativity to moral relativism and to say that there are no moral absolutes. Thanks.